Well, good morning from Cottage Farmstead. I'm Rebecca. Farmer Nathan has to work today, so I'm here with my dad, Mr. Kilby, and we're going to be working on the antique doors. But first, some really excellent news. We passed our rough-in inspection, so woo! We finally passed. There were a couple of things that the inspector pointed out that, hey, you need some pipe insulation here. Don't forget to put some hurricane ties on the back porch because our back porch is bigger than a shorter front porch, so needed to have some hurricane clips and joist hangers up there. But we passed our inspection, which means we can start going on to next steps. And among those next steps is finally finishing all of the exterior doors. So we need to have them in for rough-in inspection. But since we really want our house to have an old feel to it, we bought antique doors, which sounds great in theory. We, measured them. They were the correct measurements, but there's some issues with them. So they had been in place, for 50, 60 years. And over time, a house settles and they would just cut parts of the door out so that the door could keep working. But it doesn't help that we framed a perfectly square door frame, and then now we have to somehow add to the door to not have a giant gap all the way around. One of the other doors that we got was warped. They had actually cut it crooked on the edge so that it would keep functioning in that old house. So there's different things that we have to work on to make them functional and actually airtight and seal and be weatherproof. So as you can see with this door, you see all that light around the edges. That is what we're here to work on today. You can see that is not airtight, and so it's not weatherproof. It goes all the way down. You can see that. And there's also a point on the edge over here where one of the old hinges was that broke, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of repair. On this door, you can see that we've already added wood back in and got the door nice and straight. So what we're working on is we're going to be getting light focus, wood inserted so we can get the deadbolt in there. And then over on this side, you can see the hinges are all wonky and don't match. So we're gonna put new proper hinges on here.
What we're doing is trying to find the right size hole saw to make a plug that will fit that hole.
So since most of our tools were stolen, we're using some replacement tools right now while we wait on the insurance. And we're also having to improvise a fair amount. So we want to cut out our plug from this piece of wood. We don't have vise, so we are going to improvise by screwing it to another piece of wood that is attached to the floor and make our hole that way. So while we wait on the wood glue to dry for this, we're going to just lean this against the wall and then go to our front door and start working on that one. Another toy?
No, another tool.
So right now we're working on squaring up the bottom of the door because it is about 1/4 of an inch off. We also know we need to add a fair amount to make it fit in the doorway. And we've determined since the top of the door actually looks like it's in pretty good shape, we're going to leave that as is. So we're going to add the extra material here on the bottom. So we're going to cut a little bit off to get it all the same height for the door and then add what we need back to it. So next up, we are going to work on these areas where the hinges used to be, because they're obviously a little bit beat up and not in the precise spot that they're going to need to be since we added here at the bottom. So we're going to cut and get that squared up, and then we're going to put a patch in there. So we've made something to hold the door up while we work on the hinge side so that we don't have to do it sideways. Alright, so we've got a patch that we worked in here. Nathan and I had tried doing a patch inside, but it ended up still being kind of wonky and it was starting to split in the edge, so my dad and I stuck in an extra little band-aid right here that'll make it much stronger, especially since our deadbolt's gonna go there. Don't fit?
Like a hinge.
We put a full day's work in over here and got a lot done on the doors. We got the hinges on, we got it to fit around and in the frame so that we don't have any air gaps once the weather stripping is in. The last thing we'll need to do on another day is to work on finagling the deadbolts and the doorknobs in there. And then we're also going to have to spend some time going around with wood filler and sanding and repainting it. But that is a project for another day. We do have them hung, so we are able to use them. We have them locked shut right now because we did have the issue with theft a couple weeks ago, so we're hoping to not risk that again. Give it an open.
Who's there? Who there?